Patrick Findaro here, co-founder at Vetted Biz. Very excited to have on Trip Camper, who's the CEO of Bridge Internet. He has a pretty extensive career in the telecommunications space. He's been an entrepreneur at multiple companies, some of them small, some of them very large companies in the telecommunications space. Bridge Internet just recently started franchising, but they've been a company for a few years now. We're going to talk about the industry, Bridge Internet, Trip's background. Before we get into too much of an intro, Trip, maybe you could just tell us a little bit about yourself and how you came up with the idea for Bridge Internet.
Yes, certainly. Thank you, Patrick. Yes, I have been in the industry for 35 years. I've been in almost every facet of the telecommunications industry. I've owned cellular markets where we built and developed from inception a cellular platform in a small captured market. And so that will resound as we talk about Bridge Internet. But those small captured markets we built out with a lot of cellular subscribers. And then we sold those companies, went on to stay in the industry from everything from cable ownership, fiber ownership, to towers. And then we took all of this and we recognized the need in rural America, small towns, not large cities. We don't do
What do you
well.
define small towns? 5,000, 10,000
Yeah,
people?
yeah, starting at about 5,000 people upwards to 25,000 people. And Patrick, the reason for that is because so many of these small towns don't have good internet. So
Well, people saw that during COVID when you could work from home and you're in a small town, rural location. It's beautiful, amazing place to be, but you can't connect to get good high speed and do Zoom calls and whatnot.
That's exactly right. And that's when we started to franchise. It was right during COVID. And the fact of the matter is, many of the people that have acquired Bridge Internet franchises, we've never met them to this day. We just did what you and I are doing because of COVID.
Exactly. Yeah, it's really transformed and I think pushed a lot of businesses forward where you can get much more comfortable with the information you have about a potential project, potential business opportunity offline and get the ball rolling.
That's
One
exactly
of the
right.
one of the positive benefits of COVID.
It was for us. COVID was a terrible pandemic, but for us, it worked real well because everybody wanted internet when they were at home, whether it was entertainment or work. And so it wasn't difficult to find people that were looking for internet, particularly in the small towns.
And so, like talking about small towns, we're right in Miami Beach. We're on Lincoln Road. We have
You
Comcast.
have
They, I
everybody.
believe, installed. Yeah, they installed fiber. I get calls from other providers all the time pitching me. I imagine it's profitable for them. If not, they wouldn't be engaging with me as a small business owner. But I would imagine in small town America, it's not profitable for them to lay down the wires and really servicing these small business owners and the residential
You're
homes.
exactly right. We've been able to put together economies of scale because of my industry friendships with many of the large companies. And so, therefore, when we enter into a smaller town, it's an organic growth model. We started off to where we get a good number of subscribers. We become very community involved. And that's difficult to do when you're in a big city like Miami or Dallas or Atlanta. I mean, there you're competing with a lot of big companies. We go to the small town of Arcadia, Florida, or Nebo, North Carolina. First of all, they don't have good internet in these areas. And when we get there, we build the system out, then we become a good member of the community. We join the Chamber of Commerce. We sponsor little league baseball teams and bowling leagues and rodeos and we get involved and people become to know the name Bridge Internet. So it's not hard to make your dollar go a long way in advertising in a small market versus that of a big market when you're competing with, the big companies and they're advertising on television and they've got the masses.
And I'm sure it's like a captive audience where you have some of these small towns, and if sponsor the high school football team, you have 50% of the town there, and they know that you exist and that you're a service provider.
Exactly. And our model financially, we only need a couple of hundred subscribers on our system, and we're making money.
Nice.
So
So you get what do you tap into 5% of the prospective customers? What's usually like, okay, we need 200. Is that usually like 5% of the addressable market? Then you work your way up.
yeah, typically we'd like to we shoot for 10% of market share. So in a town of 5,000, we want 500 subscribers, but we're making money at 200 subscribers. So
And what's the competitor like? Who are you competing with?
really and truly, in most of these towns, we don't have much competition. But if we do, it's the old phone company, which would be a what we call dial-up or DSL, and or they, some people call it POTS, POTS, plain old telephone service. And if you remember, you take a little twisted wires at the end of a plastic coupling and you plug that into the wall. And as you are dialing up, if you will, on your computer, in the old days, you would watch a bar go across the very bottom of it. You could even hear it in the background making the noise.
Oh yeah.
And then as it would make that noise, if it stopped all of a sudden, then you know you lost that connection. Well, believe it or not, that's still true in America today.
That's wild. So the experience I had in the late 90s is still happening in rural
That's
America.
exactly right. Still out there.
With bridge internet, are we talking about 10 times faster, 50 times faster?
And
What's the
yeah,
speed when you come into a community?
yeah, in some cases, 100 times faster. So let me explain a little bit more of our model. So we actually bring fiber into that market. And the way we do that is we go to a communication tower, and just like the cellular towers that people see, we lease space on that tower, and that might be at 200 feet up in the air. We run the fiber from the ground up to the tower at 200 feet or 250 feet. We connect that fiber to our smart antennas, and those antennas then send out a signal to people's homes and businesses. And that's how we deliver our signal. It's not satellite. Satellite is good in some areas. The only issue with satellite, that satellite is about 400 miles up above the earth, number one, and you can't control the weather. So if you have a storm cloud,
Exactly. I was gonna say, like in Florida, I had satellite in my Miami Beach apartment 8 years back, and yeah, I mean, there would be periods for like 10 or 20 minutes where you just didn't have anything, and that's the time you want to be like watching TV
just when you
or
want
doing browsing the internet because the weather's bad, and you want to be doing
it.
something.
That's exactly right. That's when people are in watching TV, is when the weather's not great. And of course, down here in Florida, we get a lot of summer rains that are
Oh
torrential.
yeah,
And
especially on the West Coast, it's like clockwork every afternoon.
absolutely, it is. But in the Midwest United States and other areas, they have a lot of snow clouds.
Oh yeah.
And I was just talking to someone this morning who was up in Ohio, and they were saying, they were on a satellite connection, and they said we're just about ready to get a pretty good cloud cover. They said I can see it out my window, so we may lose connection. Well, we didn't actually lose connection, but they were forewarned by just watching the cloud outside their
Yeah,
window.
but it's just like annoying, like having in your back of your head, like that's something that could be happening,
That's
where there's
exactly
enough
right.
stuff going on in your work life and your personal life
And
to
we're the
be
opposite of that.
thinking about that.
Yeah, and we're the opposite of that. We are true fiber. And, I'll hold up my cell phone. Everybody loves these things, and they're great.
Yeah,
And you can do so much on it, but you're limited as far as that bandwidth. We magnify that bandwidth, and we're not in the cellular side of it. So we're not taking up space for telecommunications purposes. Ours is just data driven.
And so big question, is it like a different frequency, or how do you not compete with like the cell phone
It is. It's
signal?
different
Okay.
frequencies. So we operate on our own frequencies, whereas the cellular companies, they, of course, they're nationwide and they, pay tremendous billions of dollars for their frequencies. But they're also appealing to the masses, and they're cannibalizing each other every day, to get you to switch from AT&T to T-Mobile or the other companies. Which leads me to bring up a point. We actually just recently signed a partnership with Verizon.
It's huge.
Verizon being, if not the largest, one of the largest telecommunication providers in the United States, but Verizon also has on their towers and their radio equipment a internet application. And so we took advantage of that infrastructure, put together this partnership. And so we marketed everything under Bridge Internet, but that's our infrastructure. And we're able to gain subscribers in markets that we couldn't otherwise reach because they have thousands of towers and reach already throughout the United States. So we now have access to every bit of that.
That's huge.
And
So
it is.
yeah, instead of negotiating with like certain clusters of cell phone and telecommunication towers, you now have a national partner to
That's right.
just tap into.
Yeah. And it took a while to put that together, and they had to be pleased with our approach to the market and the industry to make that partnership. So we're real proud
Oh,
of
I'm
that.
sure. Yeah, these deals take like
It
years
does.
to develop. I know a few other franchise groups, one that did a deal with Walmart, and it was like a four-year courting process.
Whenever you deal with a large company like that, they're going to do their homework on your company.
Exactly. No, it gives great credibility. And so just putting myself in the consumer's perspective, like the value is there 10 times, 20 times, 50 times faster. What's the cost? How much is it going to cost me to do bridge internet on a monthly basis compared to what I currently subscribe
Yeah,
to?
great question. So we have varying price packages. Our call center, that when they receive a phone call from you or anybody else, they want to get to know what your needs are. And they're educated. They're not reading from a computer screen.
Yeah,
They're going to talk to you from their intelligence, their minds, and their hearts.
cool.
And they're going to ask, do you like to call your grandkids? So a lot of the people in their homes or their businesses, if it's a business, it's pretty easy to identify pretty quick. We're there when we know the right question to ask.
Yeah,
The homes, if they've got teenagers at home and they're gaming, they're going to chew up a lot of what we call bandwidth, and they're going to want
yeah,
a bigger package. But if it's the retired couple and they're sitting at home watching just television programs and maybe have an iPad or a laptop, you know what? They really don't need all you can eat. And so many of the companies
exactly.
today are trying to sell everybody on these big packages, lock them into these contracts.
Oh,
And we
yeah.
don't do that. First
Yeah,
of
you
all,
have like 250 channels you're not going to watch and a phone and everything.
exactly, exactly. So we give them what they need, and we have packages as low as $49 per month. So for those people, and there are a lot of people that are on those fixed incomes, Social Security or
Yeah.
pensions, and so with that, they watch their dollars, and with rising cost of food and gasoline and so forth, we're hearing it a lot more. So it's great that we can offer them the varied packages. And then we also recommend that they start with this package of, say, $49. And if they find that it's not enough, then they want to expand. All they have to do is just call us and we'll pick it up to 50 megabits per second or 100 megabits per second, and they can have all they can eat.
Okay, nice. I like that. Yeah, just putting myself in the perspective of the consumer. Like, imagine I now have a cell phone, but I still have a landline. I have a cable. I have the internet. Like, taking out the cell phone, I could be paying $150 a month where I don't really need the cable anymore. I could just do Netflix and Amazon Prime, and I already have my cell phone. So
Right.
I'd imagine it's pretty nice cost savings, like 50
It
to 100
is.
bucks
It, it,
just
it is.
switching to
We
you
can,
and having a cell phone
yeah,
for their other
we
needs.
can help people save money if they'll just talk to us. And that's what our call center tries to do, is to talk to them and find out so that we can get them savings. We become their friend. That's why we don't require a contract. We figure, you know what, if they're happy with us, they're happy with our service, and they're getting nice people on the other end of the line, you know, they're not getting a call center that they're reading from a screen and it's
Yeah,
impersonal. You know, there's
I
not much
agree.
personality to it. So we really do. We try to work with the client
So you'll work month to month, or they have to sign up for a year? How does it
month
work?
to month.
I like that.
Yeah, if they're
Yeah,
not
I mean that's
happy.
what I would want. Yeah.
Yeah, if they're not happy with our service and they want to go to somebody else, we understand. That's fine. Or some people.
We do that with Vetted Biz, where it's $79 a month. You get access on data on thousands of franchises. You get a 7-day free trial. We're gonna probably have an annual option that they pay less money, but I don't like these services like gyms that lock you in for a year, knowing that you're not going to get the value and you're locked in for a year, and
Exactly.
there's not much you can do about it.
Yeah, so many businesses are built on selling those memberships. Our whole model is based on providing a good service to our subscribers, business or home, and we know that if they're happy, they're going to stay with us. The advantage to the Verizon program that we have is that they can take it with them. So in other words, here's one of the devices right here. Look at that. And this
Oh, very cool.
yeah, this little thing right here is blazing fast. We can put every user in our office on this. Okay, no kidding. This little transmitting.
So you're camping in Minnesota and you want to, you want to work a little bit and shoot out some
There you
emails.
go. This is going to do it, whereas this, when you're up in the mountains,
That's
it's not going to get it.
the
So it's really technology is a great thing. It's part of our world, and it's changing for the better every day. And so we try to stay on the cutting edge of that. That's just what drives me and keeps me going. First of all, I'm kind of passionate
agree.
about getting internet to some of these rural towns.
Changes their life, information flow.
Absolutely, it's the information highway.
And what's the government? Local government, state government, federal government? Because I imagine there's some grants or some very cheap financing to be had.
Yeah, so we're working with a lot of the county governments. Typically, the way it works is the federal government, they hand the money down to the state. The state then hands it down to the counties, and they want the counties making their own decisions. In some cases, the government are working with some of the large lobbyist groups where the large companies, they get their hands into that money. Um,
Sure.
yeah. We're not out looking for any government money.
Sure.
We keep it fully private enterprise. And there are a lot of advantages to working with private enterprise. When you're working with government money, there's a lot of strings attached. And we like to have that self reliant ability to perform and not have the strings attached that sometimes the government puts to it. So, having said that, the local governments are coming to us. And they're asking us, they're saying, hey, look, you guys know the businesses, what you do, and you're full circle. You're the complete deal. And so we just can't tell our story fast enough to enough people. There just aren't enough of us. So that's again,
Yeah, it's a much better like place to be in where they're asking you for help rather than you pitching your
that's
services.
right, exactly. And so that's again why we're franchising. I just received a call this week, Calhoun County, Florida, and they want me up there on Monday. Um, and so we're going to accommodate them. Now I need to find a franchisee up there in
Who can
that
serve?
area. Yeah, find a franchisee. It's kind of a built-in market. I have the same thing in Indian River County and we've already sold some of the other
That's not a bad
areas.
place to live. Yeah, these are nice places.
Yeah, absolutely.
And tell us a little bit about being a franchisee. I know my colleague Maria spoke to a lot of your new franchisees. It seems like everyone's very excited about the program and Bridge Internet as a whole. What's the cost like? What's the process to being a franchisee?
Yeah, so thank you, and everybody is excited. So to the cost in a small town like 5,000 people, cost is right at $200,000. So it's not a lot of money. Then we look for organic growth. And I'll just kind of run through that financial model for you for just a second. That $200,000, we can get at maximum about 500 subscribers on that tower. We only need 200. And I'll run through the math real quick. Our average revenue per user is $75 per subscriber. That's your business at $100 a month. That's your retired couple at $49 a month. But our average revenue per user, and this is pretty much true to all the companies in the United States, quite frankly. Some of your bigger companies, they're up there in the $99 to $110 range, average revenue per user. We're the smaller guy. We're at $75. So if you take 500 subscribers out of 5,000 people, okay, and we feel like that's very obtainable, well, that's $35,000 per month. And so $35,000 a month would be the gross revenue. Our OPEX for that, operating expenses, is right at 30%.
Healthy margin.
Yeah, so it's not much. We have
Not too crazy where like every competitor is jumping in and competing with you.
not really.
And you don't. It's like when you're operating at such a crazy margin, it calls like all the big players, all the competitors. Whereas 30%, that's nice.
The thing is for the big guys to come in to our market, and our whole system is different, which you'll like.
Yeah.
So the big guys, when they come into a market like that, they look at a tremendous amount of infrastructure cost-wise, okay? So they really need more than 5,000 people, and they really need more than 25,000 people, quite frankly. And they're going to make certain that they have an office there for support. They're going to have service trucks with their names and panel vans and things of this nature and staff, etc. We don't have any of that. I'll explain that to you. That's one of the beautiful parts of our program. So for that, we keep that OPEX because we get a lot of economies of scale. So we're buying.
It sounds like. So say you're making $35K a month in top line and then $20K in expenses.
Yeah, that's correct. Nice. Not even that, $15K. So we're actually throwing a net out of $20,000 a month. And we don't have a franchise fee. We do a 50-50 revenue share. So we're doing mostly all of the operations of the center, and I'll explain that. So for a passive investment, they're getting $10,000 on their side. We're getting $10,000 on our side. Well, we're operating.
So you took the Chick-fil-A. You took the Chick-fil-A model.
Yeah,
that's how they do it. 50% for the guy who's on the ground, and then 50% for the folks in Georgia.
That's exactly right.
Another family-run company, and you're a family-run company in Florida, and they're up in Georgia.
That's exactly right. And so, and then I'll talk about for the individual that wants to be more involved. If they want to build something in a town that they want to live in, then we just want them to be involved in the marketing, get involved in the community with with the bowling league or the little league team or the Chamber of Commerce, the Lions Club, the Rotary Club. Get involved in the community, spread the name, the goodwill, and we've got the call center. We operate the call center nationwide. The nice thing about a call center, if you need more people, you train them, you add more. And it's just more phones. So,
and it's economies of scale for you to shift people around as needed.
That's right. So as we grow with our franchisees, so does our economy of scale for Bridge Internet. if we print 1,000 flyers versus 10,000 flyers to be handed out in communities, well, we get a whole lot better price on 10,000 than we do 1,000.
And then tell me, so the 200K more or less, is that all just going to equipment, or is there working capital built into that? What
No,
are like the total out of pocket expenses for that guy that's tired of working in New Jersey and wants to move to the Poconos, for example?
yeah, so we recommend that they do have additional working capital available, but that $200,000 is going to turn that system on. We're going to start providing internet to people within that market. But we want to make certain that they're not dependent on immediate income, because it's not immediate income. We build that revenue base of subscribers.
I'd imagine what, 12, 18 months?
About
How
12
long does
months.
it take to,
12 months.
yeah.
Correct. So
We said that with a lot of recurring revenue businesses. So like a veterinarian hospital is going to take 18 months to really get to full capacity, or the capacity that starts to make a lot of sense.
right.
And a lot of other businesses like staffing. Yeah. So a lot of the ones where it's amazing being it for a long run.
Right.
And if you're just going to do something for the short run, business ownership's probably not for you. It's probably better just being a commissioned salesperson
That's right.
or an employee.
That's exactly right.
Um,
And for us, we're in the long game, 10 years. It's a great model from a standpoint. We just want to build one subscriber every day. And at the end of 1 year, at 365 subscribers, you can do the math. I mean, it's making money. And we hope to, we strive to get more than that, but we just continue to build. And then it becomes more of an organic growth model. We look for expansion areas. So we grow the markets to 1,000 plus subscribers. And, that's 75,000 a month. And our OPEX kind of pretty much stays in line with that same 30%. We actually get a little bit more economy of scale as those numbers grow.
So the OpEx, what besides the call center costs are involved with that? Is it the maintenance of the equipment?
We do. We have some maintenance. We have the fiber cost at the towers. We have the tower rent. We have minimal electricity. And so we have some incidentals. But again, like I say, when we go through the numbers, people are pretty amazed at how we're able to keep these costs in line as we are. But I've been in the industry for 35 years. So when I went to the fiber providers and said, hey guys, we're going to do a national program and roll it out, first of all, they believed me, okay, because we built national companies. And number two, I said, I want you to look at this and give me all of that bundled up so that I can make it affordable to each and every one. And we've never received any pushback. In fact, some of the companies are coming back and offering us even better deals today to help us grow.
And I would imagine, like with your model, I imagine like if you're getting any rebate, if you're not getting any rebates, or if you're getting any rebates, it's really at the minimal because you're splitting the profit of the
That's
business.
correct.
So where you have a lot of franchise systems, like I had someone on with a cell phone repair franchise where he was paying higher than the wholesale value.
Oh, wow.
So he's in a franchise system. It should be negotiated below the wholesale mark, even if you're independent. And he was paying wholesale plus 10% or plus 15%, which is wild.
And
it's because the franchisor was getting a super nice rebate. And a lot of franchise systems, there is a rebate, and sometimes it does make sense.
Right.
But to the extent that the full savings can pass through to you getting your 50% profit, the franchisee getting their 50% profit, it's a little cleaner that way.
Yeah, exactly. It is. And so I understand the franchise model, and you don't want to make a thief out of your franchisee. So it's all transparent. They get to see the bank account. They get to see who's, how many subscribers that are in the system,
Exactly.
how many are paying, how many are not paying, et cetera. It's all very transparent. And so it's just a 50-50 split model. And what I like to say to people is what's good for you is good for me, and what's good for me is good for you. We're 50-50.
There's very few companies that have done this. I can think of Chick-fil-A, Steak and Shake. If anyone's listening and I'm missing something, add it on. But the Cathy family is worth over $14 billion.
Yeah, right.
So there's something to be said with the split between the local operator at 50% and then the
Well,
franchisor providing all the back end and sometimes sales support.
exactly. And now that we've built the last 2.5 years of these franchises, now we're ready to scale this so that we can reach those, not only those rural markets, but get that brand identification going. And my whole dream and goal is to really be the Walmart in rural America. So you know how Walmart started? They started in small towns. They never went to the big cities. The big cities demanded that they came in. And I'm not saying that we're a Walmart. I'm not saying that we're going to, go to the big cities. Not at all. What I am saying is their approach going to the small rural markets has proven out exceptionally well. They're the largest retailer
Well,
in
it's a
the world.
neglected market that takes time to acquire the customer, and you have to be
That's
patient.
right.
And a lot of people aren't patient and don't want to put the work needed in these rural
That's
communities. But I
correct.
think the whole work from home trend is going to be huge for Bridge Internet because the United States, there's so many beautiful places that aren't in suburbs, aren't in urban areas that if you do have high speed internet access, it can be a really nice livelihood for you and your
Well,
family.
that's correct. And more people are trying to migrate into rural America versus mainstream America. But they want to work from home.
So, Trip, we're excited. Visa franchise, we have foreign nationals that are going to invest 200 plus to move to the United States, have an investment for them and their family, get a U.S. visa. And then with Vetted Biz, it's mostly Americans. 95% of the visitors to our website are Americans. Some of them don't have 200K. Are there ways that they can finance with like an SBA loan or equipment loan
There is.
to get the ball rolling?
There is. Yes. We've got a number of instruments to help people with. Fortunately, because of our partnership with Verizon, it's making it a lot easier being recognized, with SBA and the
Yes.
banks that are out there. So yes, we want to try to work with everybody that we can. And again, we're trying to reach scale to build into as many of the rural markets as we can and get that brand identity out there. And again, get more economies of scale. Verizon is a great partner. They're coming through with so much. We actually have a leasing and finance program for subscribers. So in other
Oh,
words,
wow. Great.
yeah, if the subscriber needs financing, like the low payment of $20 a month, because many of them do need to buy these devices. So these devices are not cheap. They're $400, and in some cases, depending on if they want, and actually this unit is $800. Um,
So they're going to help you close a lot more deals. Where yeah,
Absolutely.
$800, especially in this economy, is tough. So that's a nice
And we
partner
can
to have.
finance that. So the person doesn't have to come out of pocket with all that money. And the truth of the matter is, listen, General Motors wouldn't sell 50% of the cars that they sell if they didn't finance them.
Exactly. That's well said.
And
So
they
there's
wouldn't.
ways to finance the license, basically becoming a franchisee, and there's a way for the consumers to finance the ongoing service.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And I look at a lot of franchise concepts pretty much all day. That's what we're reviewing at Vetted Biz, and I've looked at gyms where it's like every 4 or 5 years, it's all new equipment. And then you're hit again with you invested 500K, you're hit again with another 500K.
Right.
Do you expect that with Bridge Internet? Like what's the life? How long is the equipment good for? Is it for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years? What
Well,
have you thought about that?
we have absolutely. That's one area that I enjoy the technical side of the industry. The antennas are like the antenna, say, on your car. Uh, the radio inside the antenna might change and go from, say, a tape player to a CD, but in our equipment, the equipment is all software programmable. So we can remotely upgrade that equipment with the antennas that are up on the towers. So the antennas are, so I'll give you a great example. In the cellular industry, when you see those antennas on their towers, they've been there for 20 and 30 years.
Wow,
The
that's
only
wild. So you have this initial upfront cost that is the infrastructure, but you upgrade like a Tesla with the software update and you just roll it
Exactly.
out. Cool.
Exactly. And that's one of the beautiful things about a Tesla, quite frankly.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, you got the wheels and they'll stay there, but if you want to upgrade and get an autopilot driven car, you just pay to have the upgrade done. Well, with ours, kind of the
Yeah.
same thing. Once the antennas are up there and we've got the infrastructure in place, for us, it's all just software programming.
Very cool. Yeah, because that's a big concern for a lot of investors on just like, are there going to be ongoing capital requirements? And you have those, and some great industries like moving and junk removal services that they're very profitable with not as high profit margins as you, but in the 20 to 25 range. But
Right.
every few years, you got to be replacing that equipment.
Yeah, I'm not going to say that we're not going to see technology changes. It's changing every day, and for the better. But the good news is, and for the most part, we're able to do the heavy lifting has already been done on the tower. We have
Sure.
other equipment that as it improves and gets better, yeah, but it's not the really expensive kind of equipment. So I don't want to, be misleading in any way. We're going to it's a technical business. It is an equipment driven business. But for the most part, no, we're not going into major expense to do any of this. And the best news is most all of it is software programmable. But, so we do operate. I'll tell you a good example of this. We operate all of our equipment with a base cabinet at the base of the tower, and we have smart equipment in there. And that equipment operates on batteries. We have electricity that comes in, and it actually charges the batteries,
Very
and the
cool.
batteries operate everything up on the tower because it's guaranteed the power is going to go out.
Yeah.
Okay. And you're going to have voltage, shocks. Okay.
Crazy shocks.
And so when that happens, it doesn't affect what we do because our batteries are maintaining the power at a constant level. Now we are looking at some new batteries.
Okay. Yes.
And Elon
And that
Musk,
technology is growing fast.
yeah, I'm telling you, the
So that's
battery
part of the
world,
hardware where there's been crazy incremental changes, where the other ones it's been
that's
pretty
right.
stable, and for the software changing.
That's right. The battery world is changing for the better. They're getting smaller, they're getting better, and
Oh
they're
yeah.
lasting longer. And so we are looking at some of that. But we're still waiting for the right batteries, and we'll let time, prove itself out there. But right now, the batteries so to replace all the batteries in the cabinets, $700. Okay,
Okay.
it's,
Yeah.
it's not a huge expense.
Well, Trip, I mean, are there any other items you think are important for someone that might want to go into business ownership, or particularly with the bridge internet?
I guess the one thing that I would say to prospective business owner is that we're being a part of people's lives by giving them a service and product that they need. And I call it a product. These people are able to entertain, they're able to learn, they're able to do business, etc. And what better product or service can you be offering to people than something everybody needs and wants? In the big cities, they take it for granted, just like you and I started off talking. But in these
Yeah.
small towns, they're starving for it. And so we go in where there's a need and we enjoy and have fun on the marketing side. So to the prospective franchisee from overseas or anywhere else, if they want to be involved, they can get engaged with us or they can sit at home and we're still going to do it. But we want to get engaged in the community, become part of that community, and be that hometown hero. And I've got so many marketing pieces. I know I was supposed to turn my head, but I've got pieces over on my table. Their hats, their shirts like this,
I like it.
and we have so many marketing products that we try
It's
to
a
get
great
out there.
name. It's very intuitive.
Yeah, we have pins. We have really really nice business cards that we give to
Very nice.
everybody, and they're almost like a credit card. And so we give these with the QR code on there, and get out and put them on the diner in town and say, hey, we're the new internet company in town. We're Bridge Internet. and it's fun, getting that marketing out there.
That's awesome. Well, Trip, we've gone through a lot today. It's a lot of food for thought that for people that are looking to enter a particular industry. Maybe you're sick of the city life and you want to have a calmer life. I mean, I don't know there's another opportunity that's as good for someone that wants to be in a rural setting.
Well, I agree.
And yeah, it seems like a great, I can't think of anything top of mind. I've looked at all different types of businesses, and there's a few where you have that captive audience, like you said, and you have those numbers that you have to hit. You know exactly how many,
Right.
and it's up to you to go after. So,
Patrick, I know you see all businesses of all kinds, and to your credit and your team, they've been outstanding, really talking to our people in the industry, finding out about Bridge Internet, and we've got a good story. We've got a good program, and we've got
yes,
happy people, and I think that just resounds, and so we're looking forward to meeting many of the people that y'all come in contact with. I love telling the story about Bridge Internet. I tell people all the time, I eat it, I sleep it, and I breathe it all the day. And so bring people forward and let us tell them about Bridge Internet and how we're making a difference to people, and let's be a part of it together.
definitely. And it's huge that you can offer so much support where you have some that are really just looking to invest and they're going to keep their day-to-day job and have other business interests. And then
That's
there's
correct.
other ones that want to go all in and grow and hit the 200, 500, 1,000
Yeah.
as fast as humanly possible. And that's great too.
So Jeff Deutsch this morning we were on the phone together. He does reverse mortgages and very successful at doing reverse mortgages. And
Nice.
he lives in New Jersey. The franchise that we built together is in Arcadia, Florida, and he's never been to Arcadia, Florida one day in his life.
That's a great testament.
It really is. Patrick, thank you so much.
No, Trip, thank you. I really appreciate it.